years drawing, exploring, and philosophizing while snaking our way through the stars, spreading the good word of design. But we've had another secret mission as we've cruised the cosmos. I seek information on the legendary originals, Steven Zapata's true drawings that he flung wide across the stars at the end of his life on Earth, never to be seen again. My crew thinks I'm looking for them for the same reason all the other madmen do, because they would be valuable beyond all reason. But they don't know what I know, that a critical mass of originals in the hands of a trained reminder can provide a psychic link to the original Steven mind. Once I collect enough, I'll be able to fulfill my destiny and achieve psychological continuity with the original Steven. And through me, he will live again to usher in golden ages of art forever. Drawing Ascendant, the eternal chronicles of Steven Zapata. Lasting Legacy 1, Epic 1. What's up? Wow. Hello. How is everybody? Someone get a good sip of that tea there. Need to drink some good tea. Get ready to go. Get rip roaring. All right, we are here. This stream is for the Proko Artist Help Ukraine Drive. There is a link to the drive in the description. Consider please checking that out. Consider donating. Your boy SB just did his donation. If you cannot donate, don't want to, consider sharing the streams, sharing the page, sharing Proko's posts on social media, and spreading the word. And we're going to draw. We're going to draw today. I have some vague idea of drawing some sort of maybe like a Lady Justice kind of a thing in Ukraine flag colors. Hi Magda, thanks for being here. Thank you for modding as always. I don't really know what I'm going to do that. My basic plan is just to do a few sketches for that on this stream, and then for the stream I'm going to do on Proko tomorrow at 11 a.m. EST, I'm just going to pick one of them and push it a little further. So the sketches that I do here will kind of be preparation for that. Though this will be the more interesting work, because there tends to be more people on the Proko streams. I wind up talking more, so I barely draw on those. So it'll be good to have something already going in. Hey Cooper, hey Sing Along, hey Arctic Monkey, hey Vivid Volpe, see characters in Cyrillic. I'm sorry that I cannot read that, but hello. Hey Gabby, what's up everybody? How is everyone? I haven't been around in a while. I miss streaming. I miss talking with you all and being a goofball on here and making art live on the internet. I miss that. I really do. I will be back soon. But how is everybody? How's everybody's souls? How's everybody's hearts? Everybody feeling stable in chaotic times? Everybody feeling joyful? Did you specially do a Ukraine flag with the color wheel? No, I did not intend to, but that's funny. Actually, I think the blue is on top. Wait, if I flip it. There's a button here to change the orientation. No, that doesn't. It just flips it left or right. I can't quite do it. I forget now. I think it's blue on top. Oh, Arctic Monkey, you're very kind. Hey, Mental Break. Raynar says, I figure you've been working on a new tutorial during this time. I have been, yes. I've been working on one of my white whale courses that I've wanted to make for a long time. Form from Imagination. I finally bit the bullet, and I'm making it. I'm making it as good as I can. I have been making it for 4-ish months now. I've been only doing that, basically. you know, I'm the kind of guy, I got to do one thing at a time. You know, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that it's really not possible to split your attention. You know, you're only ever doing one thing at a time, and I'm finally making my peace with that. And I just do things better and faster if I commit and just make that all I do. So it's taken some life arrangement and some foreplanning, but I'm really just working on that course. By the time I launch it, it'll probably be more than 4 months of working. It'll probably be like 4.5 to 5 months of work just on this thing. So that's where I've been. I just kind of need to go silent while I do that because, you know, I can't spend that much time in the hole. You know, I gotta get back in the world and talking to people more and streaming and sharing art and things like that. You know, the longer I let it spread out, I spend more time in the void. So I'm just working with, I'm not trying to hit the exact colors on the flag right now while I sketch. I'm just hitting, just using generally yellowish and bluish. But I'm a value and form guy, so I need kind of the full value range to explore things. Whoa, a lot of talk. Let's see what's up. Is YouTube Steven as savage as TikTok Steven? You know, it depends what you need. You know, people need different kinds of things, so I try to meet you on your level. If you need me to treat you that way, you know, if you're at a point in your life where only the pain is real, then I can definitely provide that. If you are in a more contemplative frame of mind, you know, if you need meditative Steven, who is here to remind you that in some deep capacity, there is no self, there is no free will, and all of your problems are self-generated, I can be that for you as well. Calm down. We all know there's real problems in the world. It's a mental construct. I know that you stubbing your toe is an outside problem. Relax. Relax. Okay. Say hello to the doggo, by the way. You betcha. Hey, Fanny. They say hello. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. She's like, cool. Do they have treats or what? Ruma Inc. says, weird how I just finished one of your 5-hour draw-alongs and now I'm doing it again, but live. Haha, yeah. Oh, you got lucky too, because I haven't done one of those in a while. I want to get back to it. I like doing this. Once I have a little bit more time. After the course is out, you'll see a lot more of me. Does the Lady Justice figure have wings? I'm just gonna Google her. I don't know why I felt the need to ask you guys. I also don't really need to do her to any particular form. No, she does not. She's also always draped. I don't know if I'm gonna do her draped. I think I'm gonna do her in some kind of armor, more of a Valkyrie type figure. Let's see what I can do. I'll do a lighter blue over here. What are you doing when you don't feel like drawing? It's been more than 3 months and it's taking my anxiety. What are you doing when you don't feel like drawing? So I'm a bad person to ask for that because I basically always feel like drawing. And I don't really get much anxiety when it goes away because I know it will return. You know, I know when I wake up the next day I'll want to draw. But my answer to that is really kind of ultimate and philosophical in some sense. Like, if you don't feel like drawing, don't let it produce any anxiety for you, because it doesn't matter. You know, like, it's not a bad thing. It's fine. It's fine that you don't feel like drawing. It only becomes a problem because you put these demands on yourself. You have this whole system of expectations and goals that you have embroidered your life with that is insisting, no, you must draw because you want to achieve A, B, C, D, or some huge amount of your identity is tied up with drawing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things are useful, right? They're useful on your good days. They're useful on your good days. But to let them create anxiety, to let them become the defining characteristic of your bad days, crazy, absolutely crazy. You know, you don't need that. You know, why would you need that? And they're completely self-generated, right? You ostensibly, you took those goals upon yourself and you care about them every day for yourself, by yourself. So you should be able to turn them off, right? You should be able to control them a little bit and give yourself peace and compassion when they are not serving you. And, well, the real joke here is, if you can't, why would that be, right? There's a secret there. There's very important information there if you find that you cannot extend yourself compassion and generosity, and that you do not have control over things that you ostensibly took upon yourself. Don't ignore the cognitive dissonance there, because, and most people don't want to talk about this, but real freedom lies on the other side of figuring out what's going on with that cognitive dissonance, right? I don't really think there is any other realistic answer to that problem, right? Because this anxiety that you're producing for yourself off of something that you think you love doing is like, what, you know, we're playing tennis without the net here, right? Like, it's violating all rational rules and incentives, everything, right? Like, something very strange is going on there. Any idea how long you plan on streaming today? I'm not sure. A few hours, maybe a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours. As long as it takes me to do a few sketches, maybe 3. I just want to try out a few ideas. Here's your cookie, sir. Thank you. I will take your cookie with love and thanks. Let's say these are flaming swords, because I need a light source. Necroball says, hi, diddly-o, neighborinos, and good art to you all. Good art to you as well, Necroball. Good art to you. Ooh, look at that 8-bit banding. Ugly, isn't that nice? Let's put a little bit of some sort of color cast in the background. Let's see. What are you painting? Some sort of Valkyrie winged justice figure, or justice, Lady Justice figure, that is just employing the colors of the Ukrainian flag. If I have a better idea, not that there's any, you know, I'm just doing whatever. If I have a better idea, I'll do something else. But I wanted to do something vaguely on topic, which you guys know I rarely do that. You know, I just draw whatever I feel like, moment to moment. Ayub says, "Hey Steven, it's been a long time to see you. Glad you're back." Oh, thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I have a lot of fun doing this. I'll be back around more soon, around the summertime. I just got a lot of stuff I want to wrap up. Hey Steven, great to see you live again, specifically for this. How are you doing? I'm all right. I am all right. I'm a happy boy. I'm driving myself pretty hard these days. I spend most of my waking moments working right now, so I'm a little tired, maybe burning myself out a little bit, but you know, I'm just trying to stick to my my self-imposed deadlines and stuff like that. But life's good. Interesting changes going on in life. Besides this, you know, work stuff and wanting to hit deadlines and stuff like that, which is just like, you know, that's always around. Everything is nice and peaceful and things like that. Just, you know, enjoying making art, talking about art, watching, keeping a skeptical eye on AI and watching it threaten the industry that I've dedicated my life to. You know, normal stuff. Normal stuff. I only learned the word solipsism myself later in life after the viewport had already been established. Now I can't get rid of it. I need help. Well, I mean, the evidence is the same for other people having consciousness as it is for other people not having consciousness. You have the same amount of evidence. That is to say, none. So, if it's bothering you, just switch your beliefs. Just believe that they do have consciousness. What's wrong? Can't you choose what you believe in? Good morning, Boxer Wing. How are you? Joseph says, "Hey Steve, how can I help support Ukraine and help evict the Russian Marauders?" Well, fortunately for you, Joe, there's a link in the description that leads to Proko's Drive. Go on, check that out. There's things that you can get for a donation. You can just donate straight up. There's all sorts of options. You can get your hands on art. You can get your hands on mentorship sessions. There's all sorts of options over there. The resolution on this. I could go a little higher. I could go. Carlos Sepulveda says, "Hey Steven, how are you, man? How's it going? Hope all is well." Hope everything's good and interesting since the last time we talked. Yo, the AI art looks so cool. Yeah. It's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. Gabby says, "Are you planning on doing more workshops soon?" I will do them again in the future, but I can't say right now when the next one would be. I don't know. I did one at the beginning of this year. I don't have them on like a regular schedule or anything. I'd like to do another one this year, but yeah, I just can't say right now when that would be. I would like to do another one before the year is out, though. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Painting shiny gold stuff. Painting shiny, painting shiny gold stuff. I actually identify as an unconscious corpse. Thank you for asking. Yes, well, like Hume solemnly peering through the windows of his own home and deciding that there was nobody there. Stephen, what is your opinion on artists making and advertising political statements? Is it? Art is structureless. I know you're probably being a sarcastic jerk, but just to use it as a real teaching moment, there is nothing that art is or isn't. And there is no identifiable structure or rails or guides or systems. Anything that feels that way is erected upon a complex edifice of belief that is generated internally either by an individual or a group of individuals. So if in one artistic circle, art is completely separate from political statement or any kind of reference to the real world, that is valid within that circle, and that is invaluable. And if in another group, art is not art unless it makes some sort of political statement or some sort of reference like that, then that is valid and correct and invaluable within the context of that group. Art has always been this way, and the only real misstep or true ignorance is to pretend that it's any other way, I think. Yeah. I'm excellent, thank you. I'm glad you are busy, but doing well. You and your art are never far from my mind, even when you are not around. Boxerwing, that is so kind. Thank you so much. Magda says, okay, Stephen, guide us here. You normally pre-visualize what you want to paint. Apart from the armor, what do you see? What part is not right there? Apart from the armor, what do you see? I think I'm a little confused. What do you mean? Like, do I... Okay, so well, actually, I'm going to address it on a different level. I can pre-visualize very clearly, but I normally don't. That's actually not how I like to work. I like to just react to what's on the page. And I sort of trust that the fact that I can pre-visualize something very clearly in my head like that at a snap, I just trust that. So I don't really feel like I need to do it. I'm like, that information is there anyway, so I can just draw, you know? I don't have to... It's not like doing that, like, okay, now let me see it, is what manifests my vivid understanding of form turning or light striking or anything like that. Like, it's already there. So just work, just draw, you know? Is it important to settle down your ideas before you start drawing? It depends on what your goals are. So if you were doing a design job, I would say yes. Most design jobs really need you to be super clear about what the idea and what the prompt is before you can sit down and do a good job. But there's plenty of other reasons to make art. You know, you might be making a picture just for the relaxed joy of it. And in that context, if setting down your ideas in some rigid way would decrease your enjoyment of making the piece, then that would be the bad thing to do, right? That would be the wrong thing to do. So it really does depend on your goals moment to moment. So when I'm doing a design job, I try to be as surgical as possible, like really precision with what I'm trying to hit about the prompt and how I'm trying to decipher it. And then if I'm not on a job, I really just draw the way you guys see me on the YouTube channel, where I basically try to remove my conscious mind from the equation as much as possible. I just try to trust my hand and let my subconscious do the work. So it depends on the gig. It depends on what you're actually doing. So I guess in some sense, I would say it's more important that you, when you say set your ideas down beforehand, it's like, it's more important that you set down your ideas about the task, like the overall context of the task, rather than what's in the art piece itself. Good luck, Carlos, truly. Do you have a favorite underrated old master? Underrated. I don't know about underrated. I really like Pontormo. I feel like people don't talk about him a lot. I really like Tiepolo. I think there was two Tiepolos. There's a father and the son. I forget. They had similar styles. They were both good. Eng. A lot of people don't go in for Eng's paintings, but I think his drawings are some of the best. His portrait drawings, his little portrait drawings, I think those are some of the best drawings ever made. But it's hard to say Eng is underrated, you know? Is Not 42 says, everything is art, don't overthink it. You know, yeah, for some people. That's the thing, right? Like, when I talk about like, oh, art is this, it's structuralist, da da da, and then someone has a reaction like yours, like, you know, don't overthink it. It's like, for you, though. For other people, overthinking it is half the fun. It's art, right? It is heady and weird and strange, and you can't close the door to overthinking either. If you really want to have a holistic art view, you've got to be open to people thinking it's, yeah, don't overthink it. It's, you know, it's plumbing, just have fun, right? Like whatever, like any kind of reductionist pared down view has to be on the table. But then also the most pretentious, overwrought, most embroidered interpretation of art also has to be on the table, because they're literally on the table. Well, not literally, but we see them. There's every kind of artist with every kind of mindset. So clearly they're all valid to some degree, right? Clearly they're all possible. So I agree with you, don't overthink it, but I also don't, you know, like it's we do also have to leave room for people to overthink it if that's their thing, you know. I just want everybody to be happy and get along. Hey, Steven, what would you say are the points we should look for when looking for a mentor? Is 1v1 mentoring better than being part of a small group? So I used to think so. I used to think that one-on-one mentoring, like just by definition, had to be better than a group. But now that I have experience with most kinds, like I've done one-on-one mentoring, I've done group mentoring, I've made videos, so the completely asynchronous side, I see that they're all better at different things, it turns out. It's actually quite nuanced. So now that I've done group workshops, I actually see that the group setting is better for a lot of things. When I only did one-on-one students, I would often have situations arise where trying to explain something to the student, I would hit the edge of the variety of ways that I could try to make the point to them. And at a certain point, it was just like hammering on them and being like, do you get it yet? Do you get it yet? And they'd be like, I think. But then in the group, I can hammer on them, but then they hear me subtly flex the point in different contexts to communicate it to different students who are going for different goals, and then that makes it click. So I've definitely seen that there is a huge benefit to that, and in a lot of ways, students can learn more that way. And then there is things that asynchronous is really just perfect for, like huge dumps of skill knowledge. In my experience, I really am seeing like when it's just raw skill stuff, it's like a pre-recorded video is actually better. If you're not like in the intermediate stage of this stuff where you need like someone to hold your hand and fix my new problems, if you're really just trying to get the info, pre-record is better because it's just the info trimmed down, edited, like presented clearly, and it's not sort of being improvised over the span of like 4 hours or something like that. So there's something to everything, really. I would say if you're looking for a one-on-one mentor, the number one thing to look for is someone whose mindset aligns with yours. I don't want to put too fine a point on this or anything like that, but I've known a lot of people who have gone in with a teacher and they're so, hot for a particular goal that teacher can offer help with, but they don't align mindset-wise. And then the student winds up, they wind up giving up them, like their values, to try to move towards that goal. And this teacher is all too happy to be like, yeah, screw it, screw your values. Like, don't you just want to get the goal? And yeah, you might get there, but then you're gonna get into the industries which are not what you think they are. They're not on the inside what they look like from the outside. You're gonna have this super difficult job that you got sort of coming from the wrong place, and then you're gonna look around and you're gonna be like, oh no, I'm at square one again. Like, I wish I'd done it aligned with my values instead of just hot gunning it towards this thing I tried to convince myself I wanted. I see that happen a lot with people getting mentors and teachers who don't align with their thinking. So I would look for someone who it really feels like they are on the same page as you with the values and the mental stuff. Or at least someone who's going to hear you out, I really don't like those teachers who are like, oh, you have a nuanced worry about this? Shut up. Just do the work. Just do the drawing. Like, you're just not gritty enough. Like, stop asking me questions. Just do the drawings. It's like, no, thanks. Like, what in the world works that way? And then that's just guaranteed to, like, yeah, that's just going to make you wind up being dim and replaceable and boring, and it's just going to screw your whole career, you know? You need a teacher who's going to ask you to think more and to be more thoughtful and to be, they're not going to make things easier on you. They're going to raise the stakes, right? They're going to be like, no, like, what aligns with your values? What feels right? What is the right way to do this? Be more thoughtful, be more careful. Stop feeding yourself to this machine for bad incentives. Like, that's the teacher you want, you know? They're going to make you a better artist. That's the only thing that's really going to make you a better artist. You want to be a better artist, don't you? Can you do a video on how to use Layer Factory? I would just watch Sergey's explanation videos, because it's actually very complicated. Not complicated, it has a lot of depth. It can do a lot of things. So I would definitely just watch his explanations. I wouldn't want to do them a disservice. Even though I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to try to not get caught up in the details, even though that is what tends to happen when I'm talking and drawing at the same time. Gotta remember, these are sketches for what I'm going to draw tomorrow. Mañana! Hi, the Carnage Chaos. What up? Hi, Victor. What's up? Gal Dragon says, yeah, I feel like every artist attempts to kill that part of themselves that summons those nuanced issues with the approach to work or the work itself. Yep. Or at least they tend to in the current, I don't know, zeitgeist of the art culture, which I find to be heartbreakingly unfortunate. Heartbreakingly unfortunate. Heartbreakingly? That's not a word, but it is today. On my stream it is. How else am I supposed to communicate these concepts? Pablo says, Steven, I admire your mindset on art. You seem to deviate from the norm. What may or may not make your art better. If I take what you're saying right, you're saying that I don't share the same opinions as everyone else about what makes for better and worse art and how to improve. And I would say I agree. On my best days, I agree. I don't know. I've been taking this stuff seriously for quite a long time, and the longer you look at this stuff, the more it seems clear there's no absolutes and there's no easy answers. I don't think anybody knows how this thing actually works. I see no reason to think that our current assumptions about how improvement works and how skills work and how the markets work, I see no reason to think that our assumptions about that are correct. My gut tells me we will all be, if we could all live long enough, we would be very surprised by the truth of all that. That is not to say that a truth will ever be discovered. I think it's kind of different than that, but you get what I'm saying. Is gesture the key factor for coming up with poses or memorizing references? What do you think, Steven? I think it's probably gesture. I mean, gesture is just curved configuration of form. It's really not anything more magical than that. And it's really not like its own mystical thing on its own. So if we look at it that way, if it's just a first step in the process where you quickly address the curved, that is to say, lively nature of form, yeah, it's probably the key to drawing poses because, well, not all poses are lively, but the ones that you tend to think about and want to draw, those are lively, you know? There's plenty of stiff poses where it would be valid to not draw them with a lot of gesture. You're just not interested in those, you know? Marshall has that old Gandalf aura surrounding him that makes you want to listen to every word. He certainly has that. That's for sure. Have you ever thought of not working at all? No. I have to work. That's the thing. There's definitely a lot of artists who, you know, they're artists because they don't, you know, they could do whatever, right? You know, they're independently wealthy. They, you know, they have a big fallback system or something like that. I don't have that. I never did. So no, I've never. There's no plan B. You know, this is what I do. So I don't know. I've never really considered not working. I need to make art for my living, so I think my considerations there are not the same as everybody else's. You know, some people can just seriously consider like, maybe I just won't ever work again, you know, but you asking me that is the same, you know, that's just me that's the same as me asking you, like, you ever think about quitting your job and then just never getting another one? You know, like, no. Hi, F Shock. What's up, man? Hope all is well since we last spoke, since workshop. How did you learn what your preferred art medium or voice is? I find myself wanting to animate, paint, charcoal, storyboarding, and I've yet to learn more fundamentals. You just got to try everything, really. That's it. Just try and pay attention, you know. Pay attention to your reactions, pay attention to what has the right incentives for you, you know. It's easy to want to try things just because you saw another artist do it, you know. We as artists, our mirror neurons flicker for that, so it really gets us pumped up to do that. But there's tons of stuff that you'll see other artists doing where you're like, I gotta go buy oil paint right now. That's it. That's the secret to art. I gotta do oil painting. And then you want to spend like a whole month doing that, and then you start it, and then you're 3 days in, and you're like, I don't like oil painting. Why'd I buy all this? I bought like $4,000 in oil painting equipment. And I don't like oil painting. And that'll happen over and over and over again. So there's a difference between the work that you like looking at, you know, there's all sorts of work that you'll like looking at. There's a difference between that and the work that you actually want to do. But in some sense, the only way that you'll figure that out is if you actually try a bunch of things. It must be tried. Bog says, Steven, I practice 3D modeling, but your videos have greatly helped me get over my beginner frustrations and develop patience as I work. Listening to while I model really helps me get in the zone. I love that. I'm very happy to hear that, Bog. That's awesome. Also, I tremendously admire your mastery of shading. Thank you, Bog. That's very kind of you to say. Also, after working in the art industry, do you feel it's what you always wanted? I worry that it might be glorifying the art industry / job, and that maybe having art something solely fun hobby might keep. I lost your track a little bit there. Oh, keep it from being a chore or ruin it. You probably are glorifying the art industry and job? If you have to ask, I can almost promise that you are. After working in the art industry, do you feel it's what you always wanted? No. I went through, like anyone who becomes a professional at things, I went through all sorts of stuff and tried all sorts of things and became, by turns, disenchanted with all sorts of stuff. No, it was not at all what I always wanted. You know, I only had to work on a couple I went in, for the most part, thinking I wanted to work in video games. And then I only had to work on a few video games, on a couple video games, before I was like, you know what? Maybe it actually doesn't align with my temperament. What I wasn't disappointed with, what was more than what I always wanted, was drawing. So, you know, folding my life over and in on itself like some sort of origami grotesque to try to find a million different ways to keep me drawing at all of the million different junctures and forks in the road that I hit, that was always worth it and continues to be worth it, because the joy of drawing has only surprised me and only deepens and only gets better and better. Yeah, just like anybody else, I find myself scoffing at discoveries about how the industries really work, how the world really works, and being, by turns, greatly disappointed with realities that I find in the art world. But drawing remains untouched. You know, that has never soured for me. The joy of creating out of nothing has always remained, and I will fight to the absolute end of my will to continue to do it, even when the world insists that I should stop. You should too. I think that for me recently, the gap of thinking of form and gesture as separate things has tightened up, and it is epic, cool, exquisite, funky. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love exquisite, cool, epic, funky. Exquisite and cool and epic and funky. Very chill, very nice. All right, I'm gonna stop this sketch soon because I think it gets the idea across. I know what it would be if I developed it. And like usual, I say that and then immediately keep noodling on it. But I'll start a new sketch in a minute, I promise. But I spent an hour on this one already. I name this lady Highlight Girl. May she earn the honors that entails from this day until the end of days. I've just been obsessed with painting gold lately, you know? It's so much fun. Painting like true shiny metals. It's a blast. Can't get over it. Instead of that dull stuff, that's basically matte. Do 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 do. Color wheel in Photoshop. What, where? That is Coolerus. You can see it. Here, let me make the name big for you. Actually, I don't think the name will get bigger. No. Cool, Coolorus. Just a simple plugin for Photoshop that gives you that. It's not that expensive. I think it was like 13 bucks. All right, there's a lot of easy with the chat. All right, I don't want to leave anybody feeling like they're left out. You know, I want to try to answer everybody so that everybody's in a good mood, you know, feeling limber, feeling light, and then they donate to Ukraine, right? They donate to the fund. So go check out that fund in the description. Check out the many glorious rewards that you can lock down by donating. I think sometimes people forget that charitable donations are tax deductible no matter what your job is. You know, something to keep in mind, something to think about. All right, haven't you worked in a gaming company before? Yes, several. I have a bit of a weird question. These days I started drawing, but halfway through I start really dislike my sketch and then just drop it. Any tips to push past that halfway point? It's a complicated issue. It really comes down to personal stuff for most people. The dislike for your sketch. All right, it's always hard for me to think of what to say to someone in this situation when I only have like a moment with them and I don't know their context. But if I had to point at something ultimate, it's like your problem is rarely with your sketch, right? Like you have every reason to keep going with the sketch. You know what you're trying to achieve in your career. You know that you're on a journey. You know that you need to make progress. You know that you're not going to be as good as you want to be today. You know that you need to improve slowly. You have every reason to keep going with that sketch, even if it strikes you as looking bad in this moment. The dislike that you feel is usually deeper. It's actually dislike for yourself or the situation that you put yourself in, or an overreaction to confusion about the path. It's very difficult to find a good reason when you're practicing and trying to improve to bail on a drawing just because you don't like it. You know, like how long did you spend on it, right? Like probably not long. You probably spent 15 minutes on it and you expect it to look the way it should look in an hour. So just pay real close attention to those feelings. Try to break it down logically and be honest with yourself about, is there really a good reason to quit? You know, are you really in a place where it's a good idea to not make drawings as well as you can, right? Are you really so experienced that you can just bail on these things without dragging out of them a good diagnostic about your abilities or where you can improve and stuff like that? Probably not. Hey, Steven, do you do on-the-ground workshop/courses? If so, I need the details so I can start manifesting and investing. On the ground, you mean in person? Not yet, but that's something I've always been interested in doing. That might happen in the future. I've only done that a couple of times. The last time was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I did a in-person workshop in New York City with Modern Day James and Anthony Jones. That was a blast. I'd like to do that again sometime, but I haven't been doing it since then. You know, in-person was a problem for a while. You're describing all my trips to Michael's and Hobby Lobby. You can always give me your $4,000 in oil paint supplies. Yeah, if I still had them, I'd distribute them. So you're saying I should stop pursuing this realistic Ubisoft concept art thing that I think I want and pursue the cute Lolita fashion illustrations I actually have fun doing that I can't monetize? It's a nuanced situation. I know I say that a lot, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. My place in this asynchronous situation is to just illuminate the tools at your disposal and maybe point out that certain incentives are poor or not well construed, and I will leave you to make your own choices, as everybody should be able to do. Where exactly does money go? Because the annotation doesn't specify if the money goes to civilians or to the army. That's a great difference. I have no clue, but they list the 4 organizations they're donating to. So if you follow through to the organizations, I'm sure they do some sort of distribution accounting. My family has a hard time understanding what I do. They think that I'm wasting time when staying home, practicing, and working on my oops, my chat jumped on my PTF. It gives me anxiety. It makes me want to lie to put them at ease. Yeah, I was actually just writing something about this for the course I'm putting together yesterday. There is a great and common desire to lie to our families, to make it look like we're practicing different things, to get obsessed with gritty skill building so that when our family peers onto our drawing table, they see spheres and anatomy and they'll be like, oh, he's practicing like a doctor. And it's like, you can get sucked into that stuff really easily, and it's damaging for most artists. I wish there was something nice I could say, or fun. But when you say my family has a hard time understanding what I do, they think I'm wasting time when staying home practicing and working hard. They may never understand. And honestly, the best advice I think I could give is just today assume in your heart that they'll never get it, and then see how you feel. Just choose today, like, I'm going to accept that they will never understand. They're never going to get what this is like, because they likely won't unless they ever try to become an artist themselves, and then see if you still want to do it. And if you still want to do it, well, you're probably cut out to be a pretty serious artist, and then you can just have compassion for them and just accept that they don't get it and try to broker a peace and joy with them. I have to say that for the most part, I don't think my family really gets it. I don't think they ever really... It's a weird thing. It's still a weird thing to be an artist and to want to draw well and things like that. So it's almost a little unreasonable to expect that they would come to understand it when it's not something they've ever interacted with, you know? You might just need to be okay with that. When do you stop studying art? I'm stuck in this loop searching for books and courses for way too long. Yeah, classic problem. You need to always be making the art you want to make. You cannot do the book thing, the course thing on its own for any period of time, I don't believe. You should, this is what I always say, you split your time 50-50-ish. Spend half your time doing your studies, spend half your time doing your creative work, whatever time you have, right? So if you have 8 hours a day, 4 hours studying, 4 hours doing your work. If you have an hour a month, 30 minutes studying, 30 minutes doing your work, I advise do your work first. Let it get the best of you. Do your studies when you're more tired and dim. And if you can't bring yourself to split it 50-50, prioritize your own work and subordinate your studies. Spend less time on the studies, spend more time doing your work. What are some of the main things about working on video games that didn't feel great for you? That's a hard thing to answer, because I think it would come off sounding inherently negative, kind of, when I truly understand it more as like, it's not for me, you know? It really is my temperament. So I'm almost gonna, you know what? I'm just not gonna, you know, I'm good at being a negative guy. I like to rant and rave and to rage. So I'm going to actually resist answering that with specifics unless for some reason it becomes relevant or somebody insists, especially while committed forever on the internet. And in the context of what I'm doing right now, for a fund and things like that. I just don't want to. I'm not going to bog this down with me airing the dirty laundry of an industry. Maybe later. And again, like I said, it's like it would just sound that way when. Again, I have to insist. It's like it's just I know it's a me thing. You know, it just doesn't fit for me. It ain't my style. Hey, you said you tell your students to jump straight into the works they want to do, however advanced they might be. How do you guide them to do that despite the students not having enough experience? There's tons of work to be done on a very advanced thing right off the bat that really doesn't even involve drawing, right? Like most of the students that I advise, they're coming to me because they've never gone to a design school. They've maybe never even taken another art class, right? They have a different career, a different life. So they really have never received art direction. They don't even really know what art direction is. So they've never made mood boards. They've never tried to pre-visualize the style of something. They don't know the difference between a reference board, a mood board, a style board. They don't collect references. They don't know how to choose what's right and wrong in references. They don't know how to create sheets that explain this is the personality of a character, but this is the way that he looks. This is the stuff that he wears. There's months of work just in doing that. That's what it means to be an art director. And if you're making your own comic book from scratch or something like that, surprise, surprise, you have to be the art director for the project before you're the illustrator. And that has just never really crossed a lot of people's minds. So I can keep them busy with that basically in perpetuity while they work on their skills. There's tons of stuff to cover there, and there's tons of craft to cover there as well. So we wind up doing a lot of that. In those contexts, my workshop, and this is really what my workshop is for the most part, it's really art direction. It's like that's what you're getting from me. If you've never had exposure to art direction before, the workshop is an opportunity for you to come in with a project and receive professional art direction in the hopes that you will sort of learn what that feels like and tastes like, and then you'll be able to do it for yourself. Once the workshop ends, you'll be able to be your own art director. Do you prefer seeing art online or face-to-face? Face-to-face. The Council of Ease will have our revenge. I doubt that. Zane, how are you? I'm good. How are you? To be a successful artist, maybe painter or animation or in general, do you think one must move to California? No. You could be a successful artist. I mean, those are pretty separate fields. So yeah, you could do that for all sorts of places or from nowhere, just completely remote. It could help, you know, if you know you're that kind of social person and you kind of want to like be in that world. But you could say the same thing about New York for other kinds of art and things like that. Ouster says, hi, Steven, just dropping by to thank you for all the videos. You're a great inspiration. Thank you, Ouster. You inspire me as well. Thank you for watching. Is it weird to only feel inspired by other artists and not by nature or whatever? No, That's common for sure. That happens. You'll go through phases. You know, you'll love other artists. You'll go back to nature. You'll fall back in love with other artists. It's like, it just depends where you're at in your journey. Artists filter nature for you, and they sort of show you the charm of the answers, their answers. And then once you sort of come to grips with that, and you feel like you can imagine your own answers, then we tend to go back to being enchanted by nature first, because it's, you know, a psychedelic panoply of potentiate material that really can't be matched by finished pictures. Great White Sufi, how are you? I'm good. I am good. Stephen Love Your Art, thank you so much. Sending you a lot of love right back. Should I watch Proko or you? Come on, dog. You know the answer to that. Please. Please. A goal of mine is to increase the narrative quality of my drawings, but when I'm drawing, I always struggle to go into the zone and want to be in for world building. Any advice? You're going to need to learn how to get in the zone. For sure. Especially if you want to increase the quality of your narratives. It's like, if you want good narratives, you can't be worried about, you know, your dog or the rude thing that your ex-girlfriend said to you 8 years ago. You've got to concentrate. You need to empty your mind so that the world of the story can fill it. You know, you can't be getting distracted by all that stuff. So I would prioritize figuring out how to get in the zone, you know. It's different for everybody, but for most people it involves, if you've never done the work before, you know, if you've never done the inner work necessary before, for a lot of people, the first step is finding out what the biggest thing in the way is, right? If you had bad experiences with your family in terms of wanting to be an artist and stuff like that, that's a lot of people's first starting point. You know, they need to just accept that even though they're technically always rage drawing at their dad or whatever, he's not in the room right now. You know, stuff like that is the first thing a lot of people need to figure out and work through. So I'd recommend go and do that. It's a little hard to give more specific advice than that when I don't know someone's particular context, but it's really, that seems to be what it comes down to for most people. And then once you've done the work a couple times, then it's easier to sort of recognize when it's happening and then deal with the smaller things that have cropped up in your life. These are all basically going to amount to color thumbnails today. You have any techniques to pull yourself back to focus? I like to go for a walk, but really everything that you hear in the drawing meditation series on this YouTube channel, that's what I do to pull myself back to focus. I rarely find I'm super scattered when I'm drawing these days. If I'm drawing these days, usually I'm right where I want to be, baby. There is I really don't feel a lot of cognitive dissonance there these days. But, you know, as life goes on, things get bigger, you know, it becomes more professionally oriented. You spend a lot of time doing a lot of stuff that isn't drawing, you know, doing correspondence, helping students, you know, dealing with clients. I do a lot of video editing now and things like that. And those can take up more time, way more time than drawing. So when I feel like I'm scattered, I'm not focusing, it's more happening in those moments now. But it always goes back to the root. The stuff that's in the drawing meditation series is what I use to come back to. I just take a deep breath. I listen to everything that's going on around me for a second. The cars outside that I normally hate hearing, I just listen. The generalized discomfort in the body, strain from sitting in the chair, nervousness from knowing people are watching me draw, any of that. Just feel it for a second. Just see it for what it is. Just feeling. Just sensation. Just experience it for a moment. And I do that for a little bit. And after a few seconds of this, and I'll tell you this is happening right now, right? Just from practice, like, even though I'm live on the internet, even though I know people are watching, even though I know it's very cringy, like it's very uncomfortable what I'm doing, after a few seconds, I mean, you'd think I'm just in my best friend's basement hanging out or something. Like, I just feel already. So calm. So calm. And then I end just briefly pondering the miracle. I just remember for a quick second, it didn't have to be this way. And in some deep sense, this is all horribly unlikely. And then I'm ready to go. So that's how I pull myself together whenever I'm feeling anxious while drawing or anything like that. And again, that's all. I have very detailed thoughts and instructions and explorations of that in all of the drawing meditations on this channel. And really all of the non-drawing meditations, all of the art talks are just, they're the same thing. It's all the same stuff. When is the new Steven course releasing? Are you still creating it? I am. It's one of my white whales, so it's really big. Yeah, I'm still working on it. I'm trying to shoot for end of June, which at that point I will have been working on it for 5-ish months, basically doing nothing else. So it's big. I love your videos and insight on art. Thank you, Angel. What do you think of Mesoamerican art? I love it. I mean, it's greatly inspired me when you see like the abstractions in some of my pencil drawings. Those are basically me just mixing Mesoamerican design motifs with English and French Baroque stuff. That's it. You know, I find them very inspirational. I love that stuff. Kershal says 8 a.m. It's 2 a.m. in East Asia. I need sleep. Thanks for live streams. I've been looking forward to the upcoming courses. Thank you, Kershal. Go get your rest. Go get your deserved rest. Go blink your consciousness out into the peace of primal being. Magda holding it down with the 213. Thank you, Magda. Hello, Stephen. I'm a Ukrainian refugee far from my home, and when the war started, I was under constant stress, but I found peace in art, and especially your drawing meditation videos. Thank you. Slavko, much peace to you, friend. I don't know what to say, you know? I put those things out there with the hope that they can help someone in that way, guide them to the peace that is available in drawing, but whenever I'm actually confronted with someone who it did that for, I'm always a little unbelieving. I'm glad, and I don't know what else to say other than it is an honor to intersect with your art practice at whatever capacity and juncture that I could. Thank you so much, and good luck. What makes a good character interaction in a story for you? Depends on the story. I like dark stuff, you know. My favorite character interactions are usually the ones that have two extremely motivated people with good reasons for their motivations. You sympathize with both of them. You understand both of their motivations, and they cross at a point where they are exact encapsulation. Each other is an exact encapsulation of what is in the other's way. I like those. That's the kind of conflict I like. I've never been one for very structured atelier-type drawing processes, but I really want to introduce more ideas from them into my own practice. Any tips on adapting atelier-type techniques? I did that. I took some boot camps at an atelier, or one boot camp at Grand Central Academy years ago. Just adapt it. Just do it. What I did was I actually went. You know, I went and paid the money and got the teachings, and you know, I just got it from the real deal, from the people. And I've always been the kind of guy that, like, if people tell me there's any limits or it's not going to work in some other context, I just don't believe them. So everything that they said, I just assumed I can also do that from my head. Why not? And it worked out. It's informed a lot of the stuff that I do. So I would just go through the arc for yourself and do the critical thinking for yourself and figure it out. How did you learn to see values correctly and applying it to your work, like identifying which part should be dark and which shape to give it? Well, some of it is drawing from life, because life sets the benchmark for how values move, like how complicated they can really get. A lot of it is just taste. It's hard to give practical advice for that. I draw from my imagination, so everything that I do is like, it can't deal with absolutes. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. And that means that I can't use like value scales or rigid systems or anything like that. I'm just not going to keep them next to my drawing table. Everything needs to be relative. So I tend to just ask myself, should this be darker or lighter? And then if I need more info than that, I say, is this noticeably darker? Is it noticeably lighter? Squinting helps with that, like squinting at your drawing. It simplifies everything down, and I tend to say, like, all right, if I want to lighten something, I'll start by lightening it just enough that it's noticeable that when I'm squinting, that it's lighter. And then I'll stop right there. And then I can always push it further. I haven't talked to you all in so long that I'm like totally distracted from drawing. I just want to answer questions, and you know, I've just been in the hole, you know, and you guys know I like doing this, so I just miss chatting with you all and hearing questions and stuff like that. And you guys know I love talking. I love running my mouth. So much fun. Do you or did you in the past ever have to deal with not having anyone to get feedback from? You know, when I always got a lot of feedback when I was in school and things like that. So not for the most part. And honestly, I'm a very independent person. So whenever feedback wasn't on the menu from a structured part of my life, like school, I was never really looking for it. You know, I just, I don't know how else to put it. I've always had an independent streak in me, and it doesn't even occur to me to worry about that most of the time. I really trust myself, you know? And I guess this may sound weird, but just like, I've always felt confident, like, I'll figure it out. I don't know how else to put it. Like, if there's problems with it, I can learn to see them. I can learn to get better. I can figure out my proclivities. It may take longer, but that's all right, you know? Like, so I did get plenty of feedback, but no, I never found myself stressed by being unable to get feedback. It was just, whenever I'm in a period of my life where there's not a lot of feedback around, I'm like, that's fine, you know? Like, you're always without feedback while you're making it anyway, you know? You gotta be comfortable just doing things on your own. I don't know. I'm biased on that, like I said, because I lean towards just doing things on my own and being independent, so. Your advice is so sincere and awesome. Thank you so much. I'm very glad to hear that. I try to be honest, even though it's uncomfortable a lot of the time. It makes me, it's not always the funnest because you gotta, you know, say what you really think about stuff, and that makes people angry a lot of the time. So, but. About that, how much paperwork, general writing do you have to do while working in a studio or for a client? I'm at college right now. I'm already writing 60% of the time. It's very frustrating. If you're in a studio, not a lot, I find, unless you're an art director. I mean, if you're an art director, then you might never make art, right? It's all management at that point. But if you're specifically in a production setting in a studio, they'll do all of that for you. You know, they do your paperwork. They've got people to help you with all of that stuff. If you're a freelancer doing that stuff, you have to do all the correspondence on your own and do all your own contracts and things like that, or well, not even contracts, but just like fielding questions and collating notes and clarifications and things like that. Like when you're in a studio, like you don't field the notes, right? Like a coordinator or a project manager, they talk to the client tells them the notes, and then they see where the problems are, and they get back to the client. They're like, what do you mean by this? Or can you clarify this? And then after they've done all the steps, then they send you a simplified sheet of all the notes and things like that. And that saves a ton of time. And you generally don't get that on your own. You have to do all those steps yourself when you're freelancing. I don't know if I want to introduce you know what, I'll just make the shield gold, because I don't know if I want to introduce a off-theme color. Raphael says, have you heard about the latest developments in AI for image generation based on text prompt? DALL-E 2 is the best results I've ever seen. Kind of scary. Ask my Discord. They'll tell you all of my opinions about that. Yes, I've seen it. And I've had my eye on the AI generative art since it started, what, 5-ish years ago, since the first baby stuff kind of like hit the public scene. You know, it was being developed for a long time before that, but it was just like wasn't on anybody's radar. But when it first started creeping up, when I first started seeing that stuff, I was like, uh-oh. I mean, it hit me pretty hard immediately. So take care, Joe. Bye-bye. Steven, I miss your video essays, but I know it's for a good cause. So I'm looking forward for your course to be. Thank you, Tim. The video essays will return. I just need more time. You know, these days, everything I'm doing, stuff like the course and things like that, it's all ways for me to stabilize having more time to do this, to put out more video essays and things like that. Just all, you know, it's just because the real hole is client life. You know, like when I'm on with clients, it's like I work for them, you know, 8 to 10 hours a day. It's like when I was younger, I used to go to the studio and work a 9-hour day at the studio, and I'd draw my own stuff beforehand and after that. But I was in my early 20s, man. Like, that's a young man's game. Life changes and your body changes. Just like, I can't do that to myself anymore. So I'm not gonna do other art stuff after days like that for clients. So I'm just trying to stabilize. Just give me time. I'm just trying to make it so that this is all stable and I can just dump my time into putting out these ideas and sharing info on how to be peaceful while you draw and doing streams like this. And I'm working on it. Magda's gonna have to leave soon. Bye, Magda. Thank you. I appreciate your help, Magda. You're the best. I have a weird problem. I'm fine and I'm well rested, but as soon as I sit down to draw, I feel so sleepy and so tired. I can't keep my concentration. Have you ever been in a similar situation? Yeah, you're just bored. You know, I still get like that sometimes. You just, you know, you maybe know too much about how long a drawing is really going to take, and you haven't mustered that much energy, or you're just drawing the same kind of stuff over and over again. Boredom is the problem. You know, it comes up everywhere. So just make a game out of it. Do something different. Do something new. Do whatever it takes to try to fight the boredom, you know. Throw in with somebody else, get some accountability, start a project with somebody, make a gift for someone, stream, you know. If you're drawing publicly, that makes it real hard to fall asleep. Do whatever it takes. Have you ever watched anime? If so, what? I have never watched anime. I have never once crossed paths with that definitive art form of our era. I watched it when I was a kid. I watched the stuff everybody of my generation watched. We all watched like the same 8 shows: Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura, just everything that was on Toonami, you know. Yu Yu Hakusho, Tenchi Muyo, Yu-Gi-Oh. Outside of that generation, I have not really watched anything. I think you used to play background music when you stream, but now it's off somehow. Yeah, I just didn't put it on today. I just haven't streamed in a while, and I have like a goal for trying to get through a certain number of sketches to find what I want to draw on the Proko stream tomorrow. So I didn't want to get distracted playing DJ or anything like that. So there's not supposed to be any music, is what I'm trying to say. Do you guys like it better without music? Like it better with music? Anyone have any preferences? I never know, because I always felt like well, if there's no music, then people can just put on their own in the background, right? And they'll still be able to hear my voice. But people tell me like no one's gonna go do that. Like they're not gonna go put on their other music or anything like that. Like people just get, doesn't even cross their mind. They're just gonna hear. They just want to focus on one kind of audio at a time. So. I think my biggest problem is that I down for a chunk of the day, even though I really want to be drawing. Maybe it's something with diet or sleep, but I really want to push through. You know, our energy levels go up and down. You know, it's it ain't easy. You got to find what schedule works for you. I like to draw first thing in the morning. That's my favorite period to do like the hardest creative thing I have to do. It's been hard on me these past, I've barely drawn the past like over 2 weeks because I'm working on this course and I'm in the part where I need to write the scripts before I go off to record. And I know the day I'm going away to record. So I'm just like on a deadline with that. So I just haven't been drawing. I don't have time. I have to do as many scripts as possible. And it's been hard on me, man. You know, I go crazy when I don't draw. I really do. I become a crazy person. So I'm just writing all day these days. What do you think about people who draw for hours and hours and they never seem to get bored of it, like Kim Jong-gi or Jack Kirby back in the days? I mean, you know, there was long periods of time in my life where I drew, you know, just 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. I mean, what do I think about those people? Like, I've been those people, you know, it's either that time of your life or it isn't, you know, it's not, yeah, you know. I think almost everybody has to cycle in and out of it, you know. You're not going to do that while you're trying to raise a baby or something, right? You can't. So yeah, you've either got space for that in your life or you don't, you know. when you're young, when you're older. Depends. I mean, it's fun. If drawing's fun, if you've gotten over the hump, right? If you've dispelled a lot of your the things holding you back or the stuff that sort of burdens you while you're sitting at the drawing table. I mean, for me, there is nothing I'd rather be doing. Even after all these years, you know, it's still the most fun thing that I do. You know, no form of exercise has ever supplanted it. No other hobby has ever gotten better than it. It is more fun than video games. You know, I don't know how else to put it. If you don't believe me, it's like, just draw more. Like, you'll get there. It is more fun than all of those things. You know. And when I have the time, I do it all day. Bye, Magda. You will be missed. Hey, Steven, you like interacting on TikTok? I feel like I see a lot of artists trying it out. Some would say I have a TikTok. Some would say. Just got back from lunch and the Lady of Justice sketch looks nice. Thank you so much, Haruki. Fine with or without music. That's good to know. Some people prefer no music because they are actually listening to the music. That's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah, the good thing about music for me was that it had a psychological impact for me where I would shut up more if music was playing. When music's not playing, I can't help it. Like, on my side of things, I know the stream is silent, and I don't know that you guys are listening to your own stuff. So I just naturally try to fill the void, and I talk a lot, and I stop drawing. So the music was useful for me because hearing it in my headphones let me know, like, no, you know, the stream is, you know, there's an energy in there, something's happening. And it would make it a little easier for me to just shut up and make the art rather than feeling like I needed to entertain or answer a question or just run my mouth. So then that begs the question, what is the stream really about? Is it about the art or is it about me running my mouth? Hard to tell sometimes. Hi, Red. Greetings from Mexico. Greetings from New York. From Nueva York. Will you do me a favor for your comeback to the streaming life? Will you bless us with a new episode of Drawing Ascend, A Dream of Steve? I sure would like to. Don't worry, I want to do more. And I have ideas. I just need time. I just need time. And I'm trying to manufacture time. Don't worry, I'm working on it. Draw for fun too, but I can't seem to look at my work and not see mistakes. That's natural. There's always going to be mistakes. It's never going to be perfect. Mistakes are just not a big deal. They're not to be overreacted to. Steven, thank you for all your positivity. It is striking and levels my head with somewhat mystical and eerie results. Nice. I strive to carry that same positivity and to encourage others to pursue passion. Thank you so much. Yeah, pay it forward, please. Tell other artists to be peaceful. Help them be peaceful if they don't know how to be. That's my... I just want the industry to get better. You know, I want it to be easier on artists. It's not an easy time. It's hard on artists these days. I mean, I know it's always hard, but it's I don't know how to say it. It's just like it's hard, but it's hard for unusual reasons and things like that. So just take care of each other. If you can keep each other drawing, everything will work out. Have you watched Foundation, the series clone related? I have not. I think well, clones are in a lot of sci-fi, but that's probably when I did Drawing Ascendant, I probably had Alistair Reynolds' House of Suns in the back of my mind. I don't remember consciously thinking of being influenced of that, but I think it's clearly there in the premise. Drawing Ascendant is my love letter to bad sci-fi, so just happily, I'm happy to use the tropes that they all use. audio cutting in and out? I don't know what that would be. It should fix itself in a minute. Do you have a preferred brand of art materials you like to buy? My friend warned me against some Prismacolor products, and I didn't believe her. Those pencils broke with the 15 minutes that I brought them. No, I don't have any particular brand that I like more than others. It's I just like certain stuff. Yeah, Prismacolor pencils, I personally don't like them either. For colored pencils, I prefer the Faber Castell Polychromos, which are generally a little harder. Different kinds of binders, though. They're not exactly equivalent. Steven, how goes your Dante's Inferno project? Your asymmetrical pillars always stick in my mind and wonder how it is progressing. I haven't done it in a while. Like I said, it's like I want to do all that stuff, and I have so much stuff I want to put out and share. I just need to arrange everything in my life to do that more. I don't know how else to put it. I can't live off YouTube. Unfortunately, that's not it right now. If I could, I would just never stop doing that stuff, and there'd be tons of that stuff being produced all the time, and I'd be streaming all the time and things like that. But that ain't how YouTube works. So I got to do all the stuff that I can live off of, like clients and teaching and all of that. But I'm trying to move things around. I do want to do more of that. I'm busting my butt on it. Steven, are you thinking of what to do on the Proko stream? Do you have something in mind, or do you want it to be a last minute decision? No, I'm going to do one of these. I'm basically just, what I'm doing right now is basically just sketches that I'll pick one at the end of this, or, tonight, whatever, I'll pick one, and I'll just poke at one of these more on the Proko stream tomorrow. So it's like I'm preparing for the Proko stream on this stream. Also, Steven, you don't have to answer this, but do you live comfortably as an artist? Is money hard to get as an artist? And do you, if it varies in the discipline, like concept animation painting? I've always made besides like my jobs in high school, like my working at a pizza place job in high school, all the money I've ever made in my life is off of art. I've always lived off of art. Comfortably, for a lot of it. Yeah, people have different standards for comfortable, so I don't know how to deal with that, to communicate that. But yeah, I mean, I've never been broke, I have that super positive thing to say about being an artist. But is it easy? God no. It is. I've been very lucky, but it is very hard to be an artist and to make money as an artist. And once you go into the industries, if you're someone who needs to make money for a living, once you go into the industries, you might be quite surprised, like I was, looking to your left and right and realizing, like, oh my God, I'm the odd one out. Most of the people in these creative industries, they don't have to be here, right? And they're not doing it for the money. You might be quite surprised to find that, and unfortunately, that makes it harder, because that's what makes them the passion industries, and that puts downward pressure on all the rates, right? When tons of people want to get into these industries just for the clout, and they'll basically do the job for pennies just to say that they do the job, and they don't care because they don't need money. That's a problem. It puts downward pressure on everything. And it makes it difficult for people who are like, this job is super hard, I need to be well rewarded for this. It makes it very hard to negotiate and to come in high, because they're like, well, I could your boss is always going to, they know there's tons of people who will do the job for nothing, and in most cases you're not that much better at drawing than them, right? if you're stuck in the middle, it's super hard. You've got to be like way better at making art than them. So yeah, that's true for every passion industry, right? And they just try to look cool from the outside. They're like, haha, this isn't happening, but that's how they make stuff. That's how they do stuff. That's how they get things done. So it is not easy. No, it is definitely hard. And you need to be shrewd, and you've got to be ready to take punches and just sort of just be a stubborn jerk, in either direction. And it does vary with the discipline. There's different standards of pay in concept, animation, painting. Yeah, if you mean fine art, certain, that it's difficult to say there's a standard there. Advertising, these all have vastly different pay expectations and things like that. Advertising probably has the biggest budgets of anyone because they're advertising. Things like concept and animation, really just ask yourself how feverishly all your friends want to work in there. And I don't think I really need to say what the rates are like. And artists are just, don't forget, this is important. And I know I rile on about this a little bit, but we did it to ourselves. We did it to ourselves. It's because artists are shy. They don't know how to negotiate. They don't know how to advocate for themselves. They lack self-confidence. And they would basically rather be dead in a coffin than stare a supervisor in the eyes across the table and say, no, this is my number. Most artists would rather die than do that. So the fact that it is so difficult to get paid as an artist is in some part our fault, right? It's a complicated system. There's incentives in every direction. It's not just our fault, but we have to realize how we let this happen to us, or else we're never going to fix it. Oh yeah, I have a noise gate on this microphone that maybe you're noticing because I live in a very loud place, so whenever I'm not talking, if I didn't have the noise gate on, you'd hear ATVs ripping up and down my street. If the noise gate's getting really aggressive, I can edit it. Can calm it down a bit. Might mean you hear more traffic, but all right, I don't know. I messed with it. If it's worse, let me know. If anyone's interested in visiting Naked HD XYZ, you'll want to click that link before I get rid of it. You never know what people are into. This drawing has some strong Elden Ring vibes. I'll take that as a compliment, thank you. Have you worked as a character designer for any games? Not by title, not as a character designer title, but I've done a bunch of it. And also backdoored some of it on some games in weird situations. Like designing this environment or this prop actually means you're designing a lore character, it turns out. You never know what's gonna happen. How you sink companies, wonder how long it can last like that. I mean, it'll last in those industries until artists start advocating for themselves, until artists stop being so obsequious and scared, you know, that it, as long as artists have that classic artist temperament where they're just, I'm just happy to be here. Wow, what luck. As long as artists have that temperament, it will never change. There's always people. It will not change as long as we have the attitude, because there will always be people whose job it will be to take advantage of us. Unless that changes, it's never going to stop. It's extremely unfortunate. I mean, I left games because of it, you know? I was like, oh my God. I make way more money in theme parks because theme parks are secretly a real estate industry. I can't do this. It's a problem. It's something we have to fix, you know? I know Mag left. Do we still have a mod? We do not. I'm your mod now. Do you feel that's a localized cultural thing or an artist temperament thing? In my experience, it's an artist temperament thing. I've met artists from every culture, and I have not seen that. Man, it would be so cool if I was like, wow, isn't it weird how German artists just like totally advocate for themselves, and you know, they feel super confident about their skills, and they negotiate like they're a finance bro, and it's like, no, nobody does. No, in my experience, no, it's not a localized thing. But it's also not really an artist temperament thing, because the artist temperament is not some monolithic, like you're guaranteed to have it if you're an artist thing. I think it's a culturally determined thing, and yeah, it's culture. It's determined by how we view art and how we value it, and cultures just don't really value art that much. I mean, they value it to talk about it and to own it, but when it comes to the person who makes it, they're like, it should be free, you know? You know, people want to sell your paintings for $500,000, but they want to buy it from you for $300, you know. That's the way art gets treated in our society. Ooh, I swore I wouldn't start ranting about the I wouldn't start ranting about the industries on this stream, but there I go. I mean, I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm cool. Don't worry. Watching for over a year. I hope you don't think that all Russians are bad. No one wants to. No, God, no. I don't think all of anyone is bad. The world is a complicated place. You've been watching me for a year. You know, I'm not a big generalizer. I'm very obsessed with how nuanced everything is, so. How much would you make at a theme park, working on theme parks and stuff like that? I mean, it's, you know, it's up to what your, it's up to your position in your career and your relationships and how long you've been doing it. So it's not like there's a number you can say. I'm just saying that it's more. The rates can go higher than they would in other industries. The ceiling cap on what you can make is pushed much higher in that world than it is in a place like video games. I have been like completely unconscious while painting this. Isn't it crazy how much you can paint just like completely gone? There is no self, you know, just like raw experience without reference to an experiencer. It's crazy. Interesting stuff, interesting stuff. Okay, how much did you make at a theme park? Say the number. I'm not going to put my business out there on the record, just so that it makes it harder for me to charge more later. But for the sake of helping students out there and things like that, come in high, man. You know? Even beginners, you know, not beginners, but people who are starting out in the industry, like, please, people, don't, for the love of God, don't work for $30 an hour. Please do not work for $30 an hour. Like, what are you doing? Like, do the math. I know we all need to start somewhere, and you're like, don't tell me what to do, Steven. Like, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. Like, just do the math, man. If you're a freelancer, like, $30 an hour, like, you're not making McDonald's money. Like, stop it, okay? You know, 40s, please, at minimum, coming in and on a super difficult job, doing high-end creative work, at minimum, you know? I'd say try to come in more in the 50s, you know? Try to come in more in the 50s an hour. And then as your career goes on, you should try to push your hourly rate as fast as you can. Try to push your hourly rate up to the triple digits as best you can. Try to push it up there. Now everybody's mad at me. All my peers and stuff like, oh, you can't tell them. They're not supposed to know. They're not supposed to know. Surprise! Yes, none of you are charging enough. Figure your stuff out. Stop ruining the industries. You're making it impossible for anybody to make a living off of this stuff. Oh, damn, I thought $30 an hour was pretty high. See, that's the problem. That's the exact problem. I'll be right back. My wife is home, so my dog's about to start barking like crazy for a minute, so I'm gonna mute for a bit and just poke on this. Go ahead to throw money questions or musings into the chat. I'm just not gonna talk for a second here so that you guys don't have to hear. Okay, sorry everybody. That took longer than I thought. All right, let's see what's up. Hey Shady, how you doing? Yes, it's Colombian, yes. Hi Jarnesh, what's up? Great White Sufi says, I live in a developing country, so the rates mentioned were pretty out there to me, especially by comparison. Yeah, I understand. That's why I'm hesitant to talk about these things to a generalized audience, because I know everyone's in a different situation, and I have a situation that is biased towards the market that I'm in. You know what it means to be an artist in my situation here in the United States. So yeah, I know in other places different rates mean different things, but yeah, I'm definitely I want to be very clear that yeah, I have that bias. I don't have another life experience, so I can't speak to another one. But in light of that, yeah, it's really hard to make a living as an artist as an American. You know, it's very hard to get it to a level where you can have a comfortable life, for sure. And that hurts me. It hurts me to say. You know, it makes it hard for me to recommend certain things to my students and things like that. It ain't fun. It ain't fun. But times change, the world changes. That's weird, Alex. All right, let's try to do a third sketch, because again, we're at the point on this one where the point has been made. I know what would need to happen to take it further. So we got two horizontal ones, one with the symmetrical figure. We got one with a non-symmetrical figure, sort of a 3/4 looking off to one side of the comp. I'd like to try to find a vertical option. I might change the lighting situation on this one too. We got the flaming sword in both of these, but in one she's wearing blue drapery to get the Ukraine flag motif going, and the other one she's wearing blued armor, which is, I don't think there is a such thing as blued armor, historically speaking, but it doesn't actually look that blue. And plate armor, you know, steel like that doesn't color well. There is no real ways to color. You could paint it and stuff like that, but it's very real to see actual colored steel in that context. But as an easy way to get the blue in there, it is kind of cool. So interesting differences between them. Let's see if I can find a vertical one. And maybe I'll try an outdoor lighting situation, which will change the colors of the gold really significantly. And to be clear, this is supposed to be a golden figure. It's not like flesh. It is supposed to be some sort of living statue, or she's actually made of gold, you know. My dog is not a corgi, she just looks like a corgi. Kind of. From a certain angle, in a particular light. Oops. Trying to keep my sketches open as I work on the other ones, just so that I don't repeat the exact same thing over and over again. That's always easier when you're looking, when you're not hiding the other sketches away, but you can actually see them. Makes it easier to not repeat. Greek or Roman aesthetic, Steven? I like both. I think I'm partial to Rome since I was in Italy recently. You are too good at maintaining colors. I don't think that, but. Do you think current trend art styles can sometimes inhibit people from expanding their artistic horizon? Exclusively. I think they can only inhibit people. I feel like some people do it a lot with anime. Of course, draw whatever you want, though. Yeah, I mean, it really does come down to draw whatever you want. But if you're consciously influenced by a style, if you're like doing it, if you're taking it on with wisdom, you know you're trying to work to that level or within that world, within that particular subculture. If you're consciously doing that, I don't see how that could be bad, you know, like that's just your decision making and you're taking it on with wisdom. But I think any parts of it that you take on without scrutiny, you know, just habitually reacting to like, oh, well, this is what people like this is the market, this is what sells or something like that, that's almost always a problem. Almost always. Dog or cat memes, Steven? I'm a dog guy for sure. I like a good cat meme, but the algorithm feeds me dogs, so it knows something. Let's see how I would do this in gold. I think it would just be something like that. Yeah, that could be about right. So let's just actually sketch. What the heck would it? It's got two with arms outflung, one with the we got one with two arms outflung, one with the shield. I wonder if I could do one kind of coming down against the sun. Oh, Photoshop, don't give me that. Do you have any tips on making drawing sessions more about the content of what is being drawn rather than the perceived ideas of quality? Tips for that? Oh, I really don't know about that. I mean, you just got to do it. You know, you just really got to launch into it. I mean, the fact that you can ask that question, that means you've got it. You know, like that's not a thing to give tips for. It's just like, you're either aware of it or not, right? And anytime that you're having trouble doing that, it's just because you're letting things distract you. You're letting worries distract you. You're letting thoughts about how others are going to perceive you distract you. You just need to banish those things from your mind, you know? And take it seriously, because it's like, if you can't banish thoughts, you know, air like that from your mind, what's up with that? You know, like how is it that we don't get to control those things? And if you find you can't, what does that mean? What are the repercussions of that? Take it seriously. Just explore that a lot, I would say. Probably don't want to put the sword behind her. I don't like having it that far up because that'll crop the picture weird. Would you say your metaphysics play an important role in your career? I personally find them essential. I would have quit a long time ago if I did not have my metaphysics. I can't couch that at all. For me, they have been 100% necessary. It's just such an empty comp. I don't like that one bit. Donald Hoffman is onto a reality. I can't say I have any idea what you're talking about. Do you need to finish middle school to become a pro artist? Absolutely not. You should drop out of middle school today. Get out. No one has, I know that that's true because no one has ever asked to see my middle school degree to give me an art job. I've never been asked at a job interview to produce my middle school degree, so quit today. Drop out today. As Ukrainian, I recommend you to use sparrow, our national bird, mace, a weapon that symbolizes authority and braveness in Ukraine. A red viburnum, it often occurs in our culture, are our coat of arms. Interesting. Why can't I delete these? Why? Hold on a second, I gotta reload my chat so I can get rid of these bots. For some reason I cannot pull up the options, or I can click them and then they disappear. Oh, good. Everything's messed up now. That's nice. No, that's great. Okay, so now I can delete these, but I cannot. Do you have thoughts on the idea of do what you would do if you knew you couldn't fail? I think it's generally good advice, but just because it's good advice and pithy doesn't mean it's easy to follow. Now I can't get rid of my brush. There we go. No problem, Bogdan. Thank you for surviving. Magda, you're back. Incredible. Couldn't sleep. I just kicked some bots, but if you see more bots. Being annoyed by being jammed into the frame. What do you think makes a successful art Patreon? I've started a charity Patreon to raise money for Ukraine, but it's been a bit slow. I suspect I just don't have enough exposure, though. I mean, that might be it. I mean, exposure means a lot with anything on the internet, unfortunately. There's no getting around that. Exposure is definitely the currency of the internet, besides real currency. See, the problem with doing an outdoor lighting is that I really wanted to light the figure with the internal light source of the flaming blades. But if I do a exterior lighting situation, I'll really have to tone that down. I'll need to let the outside light be dominant. Unless I get really complicated with, doing it at like sunset or something like that, so that the outside light is weak, but then that's going to make rendering, that's going to really complicate doing the gold. Why is Photoshop being so annoying today? Yes, I'm still here. It's true. And neither of these, so one has flowing hair, one has tied back hair. Let's see if we do a helmet on this one, just to see. Let's see. I ain't got a lot of time left, so I'm not going to go hunt for reference for these helmets, even though I totally should. If you do helmets today, go look for some reference. Come on. maybe gold, but it's still metal, so it's gonna have some significant Fresnel effect along the edges, and it'll still reflect the sky because of that. So even though it's gold, it'll have blue parts on it. Do you think big, medium, small, and 80-20 are the most important aspects of designing? No, no. Those are just rules of thumb. I mean, if those were the most important aspects of designing, everyone who heard them would be great designers. Not at all. Not at all. The most important aspects of designing are being able to critically think through a problem. You know, that's, you know, no design solution is the same as any other design solution. That's the problem. That's what makes designing difficult. It's not about any one solution. It's about having the designer's mind and being able to apply that in a great variety of situations. Probably the most important generalized skill for a designer is actually understanding what the problem is. That's probably the hardest part. Being able to identify, say, and work towards the actual problem. What is the most important part of the design? What is the #1 issue that needs to be addressed? Very little structure on these sketches, just trying to get the base idea. And then when I go in and fix it up, I'll handle structural issues. And when I say the base idea, it really is just like a base lighting and color scenario. Soup, lighting and color soup that I can then dream structure into. That's your sparrow up there, Slavko. Or stork, take it as a stork. I'm gonna stick with the flaming sword just because I think a flaming mace would look weird, but maybe when I have more time, if I have enough time to make it look right, when I do the finished version tomorrow, maybe I'll turn it into a mace. It just takes more careful designing to make a flaming mace read than a flaming sword. These bots, man. Yes, the other thing this composition done is that the blue of the garment competes with the blue of the sky. Wouldn't a flaming mace just be a torch with spikes? If only. It's never as easy as it sounds. So what if the sky wasn't blue? Indeed, friend, indeed. Could try to do something more stormy or something like that. It's hard though, when you don't want to give a lot of context, a blue sky is so nice, you know, it lets you know everything you need to know about this scene. But then if I did like a stormy gray sky or something like that, that can just really sink back really brutally, really fast. Just looks like a very heavy background. I'm tempted to turn it into something like this now. Sounds like there's a swarm of bees in your apartment. Yeah, I'm sorry. I live in a very loud place. It ain't forever. New York forever. Let me put that sound gate back on. It was bothering some people before, but might be time to put the gate back up, knock out some of that traffic. How's that? Do I still sound alright, or did that make me sound really robotic or anything like that? Yeah, so I'm tempted to tilt the whole thing into something like this to make it more cinematic, but then it just looks like that comp on the right, and I really got to stick to trying to do. I really want to look for some more different stuff, so let me stick to what I'm doing here. An Achilles grave on Ukrainian territory. That's cool. I don't know if you made it on purpose, but Ukraine in some way connected with ancient Greece. Many places in Ukraine were discovered and named by ancient Greeks and saved their names to this day. I had no idea. That's interesting. Goodbye, Victor. My pleasure. Glad you enjoyed the stream. Yeah, I had no clue. That's a cool thing to learn. Some way connected with ancient Greece. Go figure. Yeah, I guess that's a happy accident then. Because, you know, my style, just the way I design, is very automatically just influenced by Greece and Rome and things like that. So, happy accident. Is it just me, or is drawing big scary? I get so nervous when drawing something large, and then I tend to draw very small, but drawing big makes the picture look much better. Anyone battle with this? I did for a long time. I battled with that. It's worth it to get over it, because, yeah, working at scale really opens up a lot more options, and it does impact the picture very deeply, like you said. It's not that it necessarily makes it look better, but for certain effects, it really does give you an edge, for sure. I like working big now. I also used to hate it, and now it's like, I prefer it. I still have to work small for many practical purposes, but I prefer to work big now, so you can definitely change it. Steven, your streams are such a help for me and many. I sincerely thank you for the best advice on the industry. You give the best advice on the industry and for all levels of artists. Keep up the great work, man. Much love for Brazil. Thank you, Pablo. Much love from New York. You're very kind. I am happy to be of service. So I don't know tomorrow on the Proko stream if I'll I don't know if I'll just work directly over one of these sketches and just further detail it, or if I have some ideas for how to make the comp much bigger, I might just use this as a separate reference, like the direction it's going to go in, and I'll redraw it, fixing things as I redraw it. But I'll already have the base idea and the colors picked out. Sketching on big formats actually make me free, but drawing with the intention of making refined work scares me either. Just trying to go with it. You know, no matter what you're doing, you just need to let yourself flow with it. You gotta just get out of your own head. Stop worrying. Just make the thing. And just know that everything's a process. You're gonna make horrible, horrible, career-ending, life-shattering mistakes, and that is, you know, that makes perfect sense. And you just gotta keep going anyway. I'm just gonna quickly make this the thumbnail for this stream because I know I'm gonna forget when I sign off. 1 second, please. You all don't mind, right? We're just chilling. Get him, Magda! Zap him with the laser! Zap them. They will fulfill no wishes. No one's wish is going to be satisfied. I'm going to undo that levels because I want to be more scrupulous about that when I eventually do it. Matsu says, I'm kind of confused about flow percent on brushes. If I have flow on pen pressure, how does that interact with the flow percentage set in the top bar? The percentages that you have up here do stack. So it's like if I lower opacity to 50% and I have a pressure sensitive brush for opacity, this brush does opacity jitter. It still has variation, right? You see how it gets darker and lighter there as I press lighter and harder, but it changes it so that the hardest, so let's say I pressed hardest here, the hardest I can get on a single press, on a single contact with the tablet, can only be 50% opacity. So when you have a pressure sensitive brush for opacity or flow, but you change these numbers, that becomes the cap. The number you set it to becomes the cap for a single touch to the tablet. So I'm gonna press as hard as I can. I have pure black. I should get pure black, but because I have 50% 48% opacity is the cap, it will only go that dark, even though if it was at 100 at that opacity, I would have left 100 at that opacity, I would have left black. Right? Feeling free to color drop that sky and just put it right into the edges of the gold that are turning away, again because of that Fresnel effect on metallic materials. Hey Steven, have you read The Art Spirit by Robert Henry? I did years ago, yeah, I have. It's one of those art books that focuses less on technique and more on the why of being an artist, something I feel an artist needs more of. Yep, it's a great book. I remember liking it a lot. It's been a while though, it's been a long time since I read that. Must be near a decade now. I think I read it back in college. I need advice on which medium is the best for getting loose. I tighten up with pencil and pen a lot. Light says watercolor. Watercolor is good. I mean, it's going to be different, you know? It's going to be different for each person. You know, there's no one medium that's like, ooh, this is the loose medium, you know? You're going to have to find the one that really tickles you in that way. I find like... I actually find that it's easiest to be loose with mediums that restrict how refined I can get. So for my taste, I think one of the loosest mediums is like Sharpie. Just like really fat, ugly Sharpie that refuses to leave a nice line. I find that to be one of the loosest mediums because it's like you can't get a good drawing out of it. You know, you can't get a beautiful line out of it. You have to just flow and seek and get good shapes and things like that. Like that to me produces looseness rather than you know, because I've done a bunch of watercolor and I can get plenty tight with watercolor personally, because it's just so final and it can be so beautiful. I'm happy to seize up with it, you know. I'll linger over every stroke of the brush trying to get it to go down just right. Let's have some hair coming out here at the bottom. I want her more hidden the long diagonal that's available along this whole diagonal axis of the composition. It's like I could almost get an X if I made her this extreme. I could almost get an X going through her body and then going from the sword to the other corner. Maybe puts her head a little too close to the edge of the comp. The question is, do I care? Do I care? That's the real problem. Does this stream signify the end of the YouTube streaming boycott, or is it just the special occasion? I am not on a boycott. Who told you this? I'm just very busy. I like streaming. I will be back as soon as I have my course done and out. I have time again. Get some light into these shadows since it's a very light environment. It wouldn't get all that dark. You guys have any book recommendations which focus on the why of being an artist or life as an artist? I'm looking for a good read. I would actually say some of the best stuff for that is the biographies of the great artists. There's a few ones that are about the why, like Art Spirit mentioned before, or War of Art and things like that. But it's hard to say generalized things about why you should be an artist, because I think almost by definition, everyone's reason becomes highly personal. So the best stuff I've read of that is the actual lives of individual artists and things like that. All right, I think that works for a thumbnail. I think we might be good here. We've been streaming for over 3 hours here, so it might be time to rest. And we have 3 pretty different thumbnails to choose from, and they work for color thumbs, for sure. They get the general idea out. Let me just assess a bit. Yeah, I think the bottom right one, I could almost just keep noodling on it. The top one, I could fix and then keep noodling on. This one I like the outdoor feeling, but I think this would be more like a traditional thumbnail. I think I would redraw this one if I want to use it now that I have the basic idea. I think it has shown me how I'd want to like reposition the arms and the whole angle of the head. Redo the legs a bit. So I don't know. I think I like this one best right now. I gotta rest on it and think for a bit. I think I would redraw it. That might, you know, I don't have a lot of time for that. Proko stream's only a couple hours, so I think if I redrew it completely, I'd only wind up getting back to this level. So, all right. I'm gonna have to think a little bit. I'll hang out for a bit, but those are my sketches. I don't really have an idea for a 4th. I usually don't really need many, you know, or just really get attracted to many. I find if I got some range out of the 3, I personally find if I got range out of a few thumbnails, it's either one of them's gonna work or the range gives me something to triangulate off of where I should be able to imagine a 4th, right? Like my problems with all of the thumbnails tend to produce what the next one's going to be. And right now, no, these aren't making me imagine a fourth. I just feel like I can kludge something together from these. So yeah, let's just say I'm good with this. Doesn't need to be overwrought. I'll hang out for a bit and answer any questions before I leave, if anyone's got anything. Practice makes perfect. Well, you know, I think perfect's a dangerous word in art. I don't really see any evidence of perfect work, you know. I think it's unreasonable to expect perfection from yourself. And I think that perfectionism, broadly construed, does almost zero good and nothing but harm. So, I don't know, screw perfection. Practice makes art, you know, practice makes progress, but I wouldn't worry too much about perfect. Art and Fear is a great read that personally helped me find my why. Yeah, Art and Fear is good. I've read Art and Fear and War of Art, but they kind of run together in my head. I like how that's a thumbnail. Yeah, well, you know. If you want your thumbnail to communicate the color and light idea and the pose and stuff like that, there's really no way around it. You know, if you really want to take a good look at the color, you just got to paint it. You know, you got to do it for real. You're never perfect and complete, but if you get paid good money by hour, then practice makes it quick. Capitalism destroying philosophy. Oh, a thumbnail. Magda's crying over a thumbnail. It's emotional. That's emotional. You know, obviously they're not thumbnails, right? They're not small, right? I would be probably sketching these small if I was doing them traditional, but they're just regular resolution images. It's just they're shorthands. They're not super involved. They're quicker. You know, I spent less than an hour on each, which even for a really small thumbnail, like one of my classes at Art Center, one of my architecture classes, we had to do all of these really tiny thumbnails, traditional, like only like 2 inches across each one. And one of the first things that those teachers in that class, one of the first erroneous notions that they disabused us of was like, just because it's small doesn't mean it should be quick. You should spend a half hour on each one of these tiny sketches. And once you turn that in your head, you're like, oh, right, there's no reason you shouldn't if you're being thoughtful and careful. It does make it faster anyway, the fact that it's small. And you can totally spend a half hour on a little patch like that. And it's like, why shouldn't it take that long? It's still full picture. It still contains, you know, depending on what you're drawing, everything, all sorts of crazy stuff, buildings, perspective, figures. Like, why would you rush it? You know, rushing it only kind of guarantees that you're going to be underwhelmed by the product, right? You know, but it's still faster than painting. It doesn't matter that it's an hour. It's like a finished painting would take days, you know, so an hour is nothing. Stephen, do you have advice for reading Milton? I find him difficult at times and wonder what prerequisite reading I should do. I tell people all the time, you know, Paradise Lost is my favorite thing I've read probably, but I can't recommend it. You know, it's just not for everybody. It's not for reading in some sense. I would recommend. So I actually think of Paradise. I haven't read anything else Milton has made. I haven't read Paradise Regained or anything like that. I personally think of Paradise Lost as spoken word, actually, instead of read poetry, because Milton dictated most of it to his daughters and assistants because he was blind by the time he was writing it. I find if you read it out loud to yourself or you listen to the audiobook, that unlocks it. It's nice to read them, but there is nothing like the sounds of those words and the shapes they make in the mouth. 9 times the space that measures day and night to mortal men, he with his horrid crew lay vanquished. Like, was a more beautiful sentence ever written. And it really, you know, that arrogant, stupid preface that Milton put on Paradise Lost, where he embarrasses himself by decrying rhyme as if it mattered at the beginning of that book, saying that it's lowly and that the only true poem is unrhyming because it's not relying on the sing-songiness of rhyming words. That's stupid. But sometimes you read some of those sentences. Seest thou yon dreary plain, seat of desolation, void of light? It's like, yeah, maybe he's right, you know? So I would recommend saying the words to yourself or listening to the audiobook. I mean, it's just incredible. You know, it's just incredible. Thank you, Vivid. I appreciate it. Thank you, Magda. I think your favorite is the one with the shield. That one's probably the most straightforward. I think that'd be the most straightforward one to finish. And the shield does give it a nice extra element. I wonder if I would recompose that one to fit more of the sword. Then maybe just do that one. Because it's pretty straightforward. I wonder what that one would look like with the sort of magic hour background of the one on the left. Stuff to think about over snacks and lunch and the other stuff I gotta do. Tricky says, do you notice any changes of your approach to art as you get older? Oh yeah, all sorts. I mean, it's changing constantly. It never stays the same. If it stayed the same, it'd get boring, I think. It's had so many changes, I honestly I wouldn't even know where to begin, you know? And it's everything. It's the way I work. It's the way I think about my work. It's the way I think about myself. It's my understanding of the industries, my career ambitions, everything changes. Average says, also, when thumbnailing in Photoshop, how do you prevent yourself from zooming in? I do it by habit. It is hard. It's fun to zoom in. You know, you do it because it's fun. I try not to resist it. You know, like if the timelines are arbitrary and there's really nothing in the way, like why am I denying myself fun, right? Like I'm zooming in because it's fun. I don't actively resist it now. I used to. There was a period where I unbinded the shortcut for zooming, Z, in Photoshop, so that I had to manually click the magnifying glass to zoom in and out, and that helped a little bit. So you might try that. When it's not on the keyboard, so you can sort of flick to it, that helps a little bit. Now, I sort of instinctually spend less time zoomed in because I know in my bones that the overall impression is what makes the picture. So because I've, through exposure and experience, really ingrained that, right? Like it's not lip service. Like I just, down to my bones, I know the details don't really matter. It's about, you can draw the details first if you want, but they'll only look good if you're imagining the big picture the whole time. Because I know that in my bones, that automatically makes me disinterested for most of the sketching. It's like, it's irrelevant, you know, and I know that. So I just stay zoomed out. So it helps to really get in your head what the right thing is there. Are you disappearing back into the hole after tomorrow, Stephen? Yeah, probably, unfortunately. The course is really big. I have a lot of, the editing is going to take probably longer than anything else. And all the time I've spent so far has just been doing demos, doing the actual drawing demonstrations and writing the scripts. So I haven't, all this time has just been raw content creation. I haven't recorded any audio yet. I haven't edited anything yet. So that's worrying, right? That's a huge amount of content, raw content. So it's going to take a long time to edit. And I just can't let it expand forever. Cause it'll never come out and life will distract me and things like that. So I just can't let that happen. So I got to just buckle down and make it and wrap it up. So yeah, I probably will go back into the hole. And then once it's done, I'll be back around. I like streaming. I like being around. It's more fun. I don't like being in the isolated art hole like a lot of artists do. It's I spent enough time there I think I like engaging and talking and hearing what people are going through, and that's really, it makes up a lot of my. I know it's parasocial, but it makes up a lot of my social interaction. Just being completely honest. It keeps me connected with the world and with the industry and artists and stuff like that. Bye, Slavko. Thanks for the info. Take care. Thanks for coming. Manga says, Steven, you should do the audiobook. It is public domain. That'd be fun. Really long. If once I publish the actual, I want to publish after I've done enough in a decade. I'd like to publish a version of my Paradise Lost pieces that has the text. Maybe I'll consider recording an audiobook at the same time, but that's a long ways away. Do you believe in art talent? Yeah, I do. But you got to be clear about what you mean by talent, right? When I use the word talent, I mean different starting levels. That's what I mean. And I personally, from my experience, I just think that's undeniable, especially as a teacher. There's just some people just start getting it right off the bat. They just start at a more comfortable, familiar level than other people do. That's what I mean by talent. That doesn't mean much in the long run. It just doesn't, because lots of people who have unbelievable talent, they just start, they're almost ready to go. They get there really quick. They could do it as a job. They also just don't, their temperament is they don't want to. They don't want to do it as a job. They don't really want to do it much. That happens too. So it doesn't mean much in the long run, So yeah, I think, I do think talent exists, but I also don't think it's a big deal. It's not a huge deal, but it is real from what I can tell you. Magda also believes. I do not believe. I know it exists. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's weird to think talent doesn't exist in art. It's you probably believe it exists everywhere else, right? You probably believe in mathematical geniuses or kids that just have unreal mathematical or scientific aptitude, or what about singing, right? Isn't it weird that there's just 10-year-old girls who can sing operas better than musicians trained for 35 years? You probably think it's there everywhere else. Of course it's there in drawing and painting and things like that. Sports, Has Ahmed taught you anything he learned while making his big course? Yeah. I'm lucky I get to pick his brain, but I've always learned much from Ahmed. If you're looking for inspiration or reference for some interesting Ukrainian patterns, look up Ukrainian pottery, white vases with red patterns on them. Might look good on clothing. Interesting. I will check that out. Thanks, Magda. Hi, Steven. Any tips for someone prone to overthinking, analyzing while they're sketching? If it's really overthinking, I know this may sound self-serving, but my tips for that are unfortunately 42 videos on drawing meditation that are in a playlist on the channel. That's really, the hours of that are not everything, but so far what I have to say about that. So I'd check out those videos. Approximate cost to the course? I haven't committed to anything yet, no. I'm just focusing on making it. Ariella, hi. I'm gonna head out now, actually, so hello and goodbye, Ariella. All right, everybody. Looks like we got through that wave of question. So I'm going to run. Take care, everyone. If you are around tomorrow at 11 a.m. EST, you can find me over on Proko, where we'll poke at one of these more. I'll think about which one I want to do or what changes I want to make. And I'm out of focus now. And I'd be happy to have you over there, and we'll answer more questions and talk. If experience shows, since Proko's just got more followers and stuff like that, there's more people in there. There's more questions and very little art. It tends to get done. I like answering questions, so we'll see how much further I can get on one of these in that time. Question mark, question mark, question mark. All right, everybody. Thank you, Color Burn Art. I'm glad you're making art and being happy. Bye, Vivid. Bye, Magda. Yes, and please, if you haven't checked out the fundraising page, there's the link from Magda. Go give it a look, consider making a donation, or share it around. There's all sorts of things you can pick up with your donations too. There's prints and mentoring and videos and stuff like that. They got all sorts of options on there. Check it out, people. All right, everybody. Take care. Bye, Haruki. Bye, Angel. Bye, Gabriel. Bye, Foku. Bye, Engine. Bye, Eggbright. Bye, AP. Bye, Average. Bye, Aim Lord. Lord. My pleasure. Glad you guys liked it. Goodbye, Fro. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye, Jernej. Yardenij. Oh yeah, and there's a raffle. I forgot about that. Yeah, every dollar you give is a ticket for a raffle. I forget what the prize is for the raffle. Do you know, Magda? I don't know. Bye, Alejandro. All right, now I'm gonna get off. Peace, everybody. Take care. And Magda, thanks for modding. I'll talk to you soon.